Elemental Synergist is a really cool half-caster mod for the Elementalist. So we're going to dip into it, and we are going to make everything sort of a half-caster frontliner. Let me go through the build and explain. So we're going to start with the Elementalist at level 1, and we're going to go level by level, combat tutorial, and all the items. So of course, Elementalist level 1 brings you Elemental Sparks. These are kind of like your sorcerer points, but for the Elementalist. They're really cool, I'll show you them. We gain Intelligence saving throw proficiencies and Constitution saving throw proficiencies. And if we come to this side over here, you will see proficiencies with medium and light armor, shields, glaives, halberds, pike spears, simple and martial weapons. And of course, the Elemental Synergist. Now this means we can have bind weapon, which means we don't need strength or dex, depending on your weapon. You bind it and it will use your intelligence, as that's our spell casting modifier. We'll scan a chaotic orb of our choice. So let's go over our cantrips, and we're going to take Bone Chill, we're going to take Shocking Grasp, and we're going to take Firebolt. 3 different kinds of damage. We've got 2 ranged, 2 melee. And then we get to our first level spells, and we're going to take Magic Missile, as this is the best from the start of the game to the end of the game. It's just incredible. We're going to take Shield, nice reactive protective spell for us. And we're going to take Hellish Rebuke, a nice reactionary based fire damage dealer. Now when it comes to your martial fighting style, I will personally be taking a defense for this one, just to boost our AC as high as possible. And then we get a elemental attunement. Now this means that spells and attacks we do ignore resistances. So for me, I have picked fire personally. There is a reason for this, based on our equipment we're using, but if you fancy doing a lightning build or a thunder build, I can show you some different options. For your deity, pick whatever. And then we get to our ability points, and for this we are going to have 8 strength. We're going to have 16 dexterity to help with our initiative, as well as our AC. 14 constitution, 16 intelligence, as this is our spell casting modifier. 10 wisdom, and 10 charisma. For your proficiencies, take what you feel like. And that brings us to Elementalist level 2. Again, we get 1 more elemental spark. We also gain insightful cantrips. So cantrips do additional damage equal to your intelligence modifier. We gain potent cantrip, so your cantrips become hard to evade. When a creature succeeds its saving throw against one of your cantrips, it still takes half damage. And Spark Step, which means we can use an Elemental Spark to boost our movement speed by 3 meters. We gain 1 more cantrip, so for this one we are going to take a Ray of Frost. And then we get some more spells to choose from. So I would personally take Thunderwave, because this is a great spell to push people off of beams, ledges, all that sort of fun stuff. And we'll take Create or Destroy Water. Elementalist level 3 brings you another elemental spark charge. We have now unlocked level 2 spell slots as well. So we gain an elemental infusion. So when we do elemental damage using a spell or cantrip, that element will now infuse our weapon, dealing an additional 1d4 damage. We gain synergistic cantrips, or synergetic cantrips I should say. So when you deal damage with a cantrip, we gain arcane synergy for 2 turns. And Spark Infusion. Essentially we can infuse our weapon with an element. Now for spells we are going to take Misty Step, and we're also going to take Scorching Ray. Scorching Ray, nice little fire dealing spell, and again if you pick the resistance to fire at the start, it's going to deal even more damage. And Misty Step, so we can get around the battlefield. Elementalist level 4 brings you a new feat. So for this one, before that, we're going to get spells, and we're going to take Mouth's Acid Arrow for some acid damage, as well as delayed damage. And we'll take Hold Person, because Hold Person is great for holding enemies still, and if they are held, then if you hit them with a melee attack, it is a guaranteed critical hit. And what's really good is with our AC being so high, it's kind of hard for enemies to hit us and break that concentration. Now for your feat, we are going to boost our intelligence all the way up to 18. Elementalist level 5 brings Flickering Embers. So all our elemental sparks will now replenish on a short rest as well as a long rest. We'll also get Warcaster Strike, meaning if we do a spell or cantrip, we can follow up with a strike with our main weapon. And Eldritch Strike. So when you hit a creature with a weapon attack, it has disadvantage on its saving throw against a spell you cast before the end of your next turn. Now we get more spells at this point, so for this one let's take Flaming Sphere, and we'll also take Ice Knife. Elementalist level 6 brings you 1 more elemental spark charge. We also have improved elemental infusion, so when we deal elemental damage using a spell or cantrip and it infuses our weapon, until the end of our next turn we do an additional 2d6 damage of that type with a +1 bonus to attack rolls. We also get Daredevil Proximity, which means ranged spell attacks are made as melee spell attacks when we're adjacent to a hostile creature, and Close Quarters Spellcasting. Now we've unlocked a bunch of new spells, so we're going to start with Fireball, and we're going to take Spirit Guardians. Probably my two favourite level 3 spells. Maybe they're just behind Hunger of Hadar, because I do think this is easily one of the top 10 spells in the game. Now Elementalist level 7 will bring you another Spark Charge, as well as Adroit Spellcasting. So cantrips targeting foes and allies can target an additional creature. The same target can be chosen twice, and this effect can be used once per battle. Then we gain more spells, so we are going to come in here, and we're going to take the Hunger of Hadar, like I said before. Basically this is a big old cloud of darkness, but enemies that start their turn in it will take between 2 to 12 cold damage, and if they end their turn in it, it's 2 to 12 acid damage, and the whole area is difficult terrain. It's phenomenal. This is such a game changer, especially in like a tight area like Moonrise Towers. I placed this and Edvar's Black Tentacles down with 2 different spellcasters, and the enemies were just suffocating. And then to pair with our Create or Destroy Water, we are going to take Call Lightning. Elementalist level 8 brings another Elemental Spark, but we now have Arcane Buckler. You gain 12 temporary hit points after casting a spell while in melee, which is phenomenal. That really adds to like the tanking abilities of this specialist, which is why the Elemental Synergist is a really cool half-caster in my opinion. Now we do have more spells to choose from at this point, so we're going to start with Wounding Ray. So deal 5 to 14 necrotic damage to your enemies and leave a festering wound, dealing damage over time. And then we're also going to take Lightning Bolt, again so we compare Lightning with Create or Destroy Water. Now it comes to a new feat, so ability improvement, and we're going to bump intelligence up to 20. Elementalist level 9 brings you Elemental Sparks again, so we gain 1 more charge. And now we get some empowered cantrips, and these are awesome. So the 3 I'm going to take is Hellfire Orb. Shoot a bright orb of Hellfire from your fingertips that engulfs an area in flame. A pool of deadly Hellfire is left in the aftermath. This is a bonus action as well. These are all bonus action spells and they're phenomenal. Now we're going to pair this with Radiant Sunstrike. Slam your foes with a Radiant Strike, dealing 4 to 40 radiant damage. On hit, light erupts around you in a 3 meter area. Enemies in the light must succeed a Constitution saving throw or be blinded. And then we're also going to take Venomous Strike. Slam the target with a fistful of venom. On hit, surround the target in a noxious cloud that possibly poisons those within it. And it also inflicts a festering wound. Elementalist level 10 will give you another 2 Elemental Spark charges this time. And Master Elemental Infusion. So this time we gain a 2d6 plus 4 infusion of damage. We get more spells at this point, so we're going to take the Guardian of Faith. Really good in boss fights or when there's lots of minions. Place it on like a staircase or something. Any enemies that end their turn within it will take damage from the Guardian. However, if it deals 20 damage, it takes 20 damage. So it can die very quickly, but it is also a very nice damage dealer and distraction. And then we're going to come down to the lower levels to take sort of a lower level spell just to free up some of our moves, or spell slots I should say. So we're taking Snaring Strike. Elementalist level 11, Setup Strike. Forcibly mark a target for setup, providing access to Warcaster Strike and cause an explosion that debuffs enemies. This will also infuse our weapon with force damage. And now we gain some immunity piercing, and this will really depend on what immunity you want to break through with. I would base this on whatever weapon or items you're using. So in my case, I'm going to use fire, but if you're using like the lightning jabber, which is another really good option for this build, then go with like lightning, that sort of thing. Now our final level, Elementalist level 12, brings us Synergistic Cataclysm. And you can see just how much damage this thing does. It's phenomenal. We gain more spells at this point. So the first one we're going to take is Flame Strike. This will deal fire and radiant damage. And we're also going to take Dethrone, 30 to 80 necrotic damage. It's fantastic. And then we get one more final feat. So for this one I would come all the way down here and I would take Savage Attacker. You could also take Alert if you want to boost your turn up the initiative order, but I think just ensuring we have the highest amount of DPS is phenomenal. Okay, we are going to go over the items now, and there's a few different options. I would, however, take the Mask of Soul Perception as your main helmet. This will mainly give you a +2 bonus to attack rolls and your initiative and perception checks. Because we're going with fire for this build, I would take the Cindermoth Cloak. So damage the wearer within 2 meters receives burning. You could also make this the Flesh Melter Cloak, you can make it the Cloak of Protection, you could go with the Cloak of Devoration, any option really works. For boots, I would go with the Boots of Genial Striding, let's get that movement unimpeded by difficult terrain. For armour, I would take the Armour of Agility, this will allow you to have exotic materials. Now bear in mind we cannot use heavy armour, so it has to be medium, so any high AC medium armour will work. I just like the Armour of Agility. For gloves, now there are two options in my opinion. You could take the Helldust gloves. This gives you a +1 bonus to spell attack rolls and spell save DC, which is really good for things like hold person. It also gives our weapon attacks an additional 1 to 6 fire damage, hence why it ties into our theme and all our class resistance and immunity piercings. But if you did not want to take this, my other suggestion would be the Legacy of Masters, getting a +2 bonus to attack and damage rolls with weapons. Now when it comes to our other items, for a ring, I really like the Strange Conduit ring, so if we're concentrating on a spell, we'll do an additional 1 to 4 psychic damage. The Shifting Corpus ring for invisibility and blur. For an amulet, the Surge and Subjugation amulet, so if we land a critical hit on a humanoid, we can paralyse them for 2 turns. Now for a shield, take any really high AC shield. I like Ketheric's shield, just because we're getting a +1 bonus to spell save DC and spell attack rolls. We also have advantage on dexterity saving throws. But if you want to take something with a higher AC, you're more than welcome to. And then for a weapon, I like the Flail of Ages because we have Elemental Age, meaning we can change the damage type of our weapon. However, if you fancy doing a different build like Lightning or something, then you could go with the Lightning Jabber. This will have lightning, and obviously pick your resistances based on that. If you want something which does like force damage or something, or thunder I should say, you've got the Corpse Grinder. There's things like the Halberd of Vigilance with force damage, lots of good options, but I am going Sword and Board. So that is the build, let's go check it out. Okay, so we just left camp. The first thing we're going to do is bind our weapon. This means it now uses our intelligence. And then we're going to pick our Elemental Age, and again, we can pick whatever we want. So we can do Acid, Cold or Fire. So let's do fire damage. And now if we come into here, you remember it had 1 to 6 fire damage originally. It now says 1 to 4, but we still gain the 1 to 6 from our gloves. Okay, so you'll see we're top of the turn order alongside our rogue. So let's get this going. Now you remember we can do warcasting. So let's do a firebolt to start with on this enemy. Just like that. This means we can then follow up with one of our Warcaster strikes. So we'll come in here. And there you go. You see we did 47 damage with 1 hit. And we still have our bonus actions for these things. So let us do a Radiant Strike. And you'll see we're going to target 2 people. So we'll do it. I need to move slightly. Let's come to here. We'll do our Radiant Strike. We can't hit both, that's a shame. We'll wait to do our Radiant Strike then. Instead, let's do a Hellfire Orb. And we'll throw it down here on our Barbarian. In fact, no we won't, that'd be a waste. I'm going to wait until people are grouped together. That's going to make the most sense. So instead, we will waste our bonus action. And we'll do a Setup Strike instead. This will use 2 Elemental Sparks, but it's not too bad. And in fact, we will do it on... let's do this enemy. It's going to be disadvantaged, but hopefully. And there you go. Force damage, and we've caused these to be off balance. So you see our 12 temporary hit points have disappeared, and then they missed their attack. Okay, so we are now back to our turn, and let's start doing some stuff. What we're going to do is we're going to leave these enemies for a minute, and we're going to bring ourselves to here. Because I want to show off some of our awesome bonus actions. So we are going to throw down our Hellfire Orb, and we are going to take some friendly fire, but it is what it is. And there you go. Now you see, unfortunately, they didn't take much damage because they are rogues, but we did absolutely torch the spellcaster who was apparently here. We got burning on this one, and then this one can still take some damage. What it also means is that we still have our spells. So in this case, let's throw out a Synergistic Cataclysm. Now, as you can see, it's a huge AoE. And again, you're going to want to cast it on someone that isn't a rogue, because rogues take such little damage. But you saw loads of different damage types then. And because of that, obviously, we can then follow up with our Warcaster Strike. which sadly missed because rogues are tricky little bastards. You'll see they just exploded with 25 damage. Okay, it's back to our turn, and we're going to try and take out this little dude at the end. So let's start with a Ray of Frost. There you go, we've got 10 damage on them, and we're going to follow up with our Warcaster Strike. So we can come in here. There you go, we see we actually did some pretty decent damage. We got cold and fire because of the infusion. And then we can follow up with a Venom Strike. And there you go, the enemy is now poisoned as well. Now the poison's already run out, which is a shame, but we've got pretty decent AC that they can't hit us. Okay, and it's time to start finishing this fight. So let's start with a very simple Firebolt on this enemy. There you go. We're going to follow up with our Warcaster Strike. And kill them off. And then it's time to get down from here. Now unfortunately, we broke the ladder, so we get to show off our movability with a lovely Misty Step. And let's hunt down the enemy over here. And go all the way across the battlefield. Okay, and then we've got other abilities we still have. So let's throw out a huge, when I can find it, Fireball. We're going to do this at 4th level. And there you go. What this then means, because obviously we have that fire resistance, we can run in. We can do our Warcaster Strike. Just like that. And if we really wanted to, we could finish it off with our Radiant Strike. You see 28 Radiant damage. This is just such a high damage dealer melee frontliner. But of course, that isn't all. We have such good ranged capabilities. So let's go in here. And we're going to throw out a Guardian of Faith, and I'll show this off, get that summon going. Try and put it as close to them as possible, there you go. Now you see they are within the Guardian of Faith.
This is the easy part.
And there you go, you'll see every time it hits, within the radar, our little Guardian will deal damage, and then obviously take as much as it deals out. But that is the Elemental Synergist. It's a really cool half-caster. You can still benefit from some of the Elemental Gladiator, like bonus action, big spells, but overall it's just phenomenal. So if you fancy a sort of half-caster, like big AC tank, then this is definitely the build to try. So really hope you have enjoyed. If you have, please drop the episode a like, it helps me tremendously. Let me know in the comments what you change, any new items, abilities, how would you do a Radiant build, a Thunder build, all that fun stuff. If not already, please subscribe to the channel for more. I've got more guides for Baldur's Gate, Path of Exile, Dragon Age, all sorts of fun RPGs, so come and check them out. Regardless, I really do hope you've enjoyed, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.